Welcome back to Capital Time. I'm Tim Boehm. Tonight we're talking with Tariq, Bokhari, and Larken, Egleston of the Southern Group about all things Charlotte and beyond. And we're going to wrap up this week's segment with a little talk about AI. You might have seen the article or blog post, essay, what do you want to say about from an investor about the future of AI, and it shook the world in a lot of ways. And Tariq, you guys decided to take it up on the podcast as well. Briefly for our audience, describe your conversation the two of you had.
Well, first it was painful to Larken, who I forced to read this very long article, and that's, I think, retaliation for all his food talk and stuff like that. But in honesty, the punchline of kind of this article is, you know, we nerds, which I'll include you in that bucket, Tim, have been talking about AI, data centers, the U.S. versus China and the broader world context. And it's a material topic, but it's a small percentage of people that talk about it. And somehow this guy who admitted that he used AI in portion to actually write the long article, posted it, and it got viral tractions, tens and tens and tens of millions of people, which opened this conversation up to a whole larger group of folks. And basically his point was, I have real experience that I will cite to you in my day-to-day that shows this isn't some 10-year, 20-year out thing. Right now, AI massively disrupting the world, particularly white-collar jobs and people that work in front of screens. You're going to start seeing this now, so prepare yourself. And on the podcast, I thought it was just really good because having that conversation with Larken, and all jests aside, I mean, you know, that was the important part, making him read that and then us having a conversation, because we represent the two segments of the world, the people who are paying complete attention to this and the people that aren't. And the overall punchline is people need to pay attention because this is a real serious thing.
Well, and interestingly, he's now said he didn't mean to scare people, and he might have changed a few things in it after the fact. But so Larken, as someone who doesn't follow this as closely, how did you walk away from reading it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all things that had crossed my mind, and it's, I read about AI from time to time, but I'm not an expert on it. I don't use it a lot. I think that my exposure to it is probably more similar to more people than Tariq's, which is to say that, like, you see the stupid stuff that pops up on social media that people use it for. You see some of the misinformation that's being generated from it. You've probably considered the impacts it's going to have on the types of jobs of the future and the workforce that we have now and what it'll look like going forward. But the degree to which he talked about how quickly this thing is moving down the tracks, I think was maybe something I didn't have a full grasp of. The degree to which he talked about the number, or really the percentage, and he said in one of the estimates, which may even be conservative, is as far as white collar jobs go, up to 50% could be replaced essentially by artificial intelligence. And then obviously, and you've talked about this a lot, we have as well, the implication in terms of the data centers needed to power these tools and to power this emerging technology is only going to increase, and there's a whole different conversation around those that communities are going to have. So the implications of this are far and wide. It was, again, not anything net new to me, but it was eye-opening to read it at a level or a depth, I guess, far beyond what I had.
Yeah, and he tagged it kind of like how COVID happened. Like, people heard it and didn't think much about it, and then all of a sudden overnight, boom, the world was shut down, or different, I should say. Tariq, we're almost out of time here, but one thing that was interesting too was he talked about how few people are really in charge of this right now. And it brings up a lot of concerns, and to some I think, about concentration of power and particularly concentration of wealth. And government is so far behind on dealing with anything, let alone something like this. I mean, should we be concerned?
100%. I don't think there's any reason to go out and completely freak out on this article or the topic. But if anything, it should make everyone realize, like, this has the potential to be totally different than things we felt. That's why the COVID kind of February 2020 analogy that he used, I think, resonated so much, because people felt that. The world changed overnight, and he's making the case, one of which that I happen to agree, that this could be very similar. So we need AI strategies, and over the last 10 years in the Charlotte City Council and government, I can count on 0 hands how many times, other than me bringing it up, that leaders talk about it. And leaders, they don't get fired for doing something too early. They have a problem for waiting too long and doing it too late. So we have to lean into this. We have to be innovators, but also innovators in seeing how we're going to bring the workforce, the new workforce, along with us. So this is a must-read article for any leader from the national, state, down to the municipal level. And they should just be asking themselves the simple questions. Who should we be calling across the world to come tell us information about this? How do we put this in a future plan and not just keep doing the same things over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to read the really long article, you can listen to us summarize it on North Carolina's second favorite political podcast.
Second.
Go ahead, say the name.
Tying it together with Tim Boyle.
No, he's talking about our name, R&D in the NC, found wherever you pod your casts.
I don't know if that made sense there at the end, but we'll go with that.